Hey friends, I hope the morning's treating you well. Hope you got some coffee if you drink coffee. I'm down here in Nashville. We drove down. We drove down this morning, standing out here in East Nashville, and figured I would check in with you guys. And on the drive down, we got into a conversation about learning things the hard way, and I was kind of laughing about some of the things in life that I've learned the hard way, and thought maybe I'd share some of those with you guys, and I bet you have a few that you could probably share with me. But one that made Amy laugh pretty good is never take a gig at a gas station in Dayton, Ohio, no matter how attractive it may sound. Just trust me on that one. And those late nights in Kokomo, sometimes, you learn maybe that's not the way to superstardom. It probably doesn't lead through Kokomo, Indiana. We learned that with the Blues Brothers and Bob's Country Bunker. The things I've learned the hard way. If you end up taking a train in Shrewsbury, England on a Sunday, say you need to change trains there and go elsewhere, if it's a Sunday, there are no outbound trains, so you're going to be in the station. You're going to have to get on a bus. Where you thought you would take a train somewhere, the bus is the only way. I learned that the hard way. Other things, if you're in Barnstaple, England, and you need to have a long drive on a Sunday, a long train ride on a Sunday to another part of the country, the trains do not leave until noon. So you need to factor that in. I learned that the hard way. And it all starts with like a 45-minute tram to Exeter, a very, very slow tram from Barnstaple. It's the things you learn the hard way in life. And, man, I've learned that how hard you work has nothing to do with how much money you make. I had a job... I've had many, many bad jobs in my life. Many. I know that's a shock that, but a musician would have bad jobs, but I had a job stacking hot water heaters in a warehouse all day long, boxes of unsold hot water heaters, and I would have to stack them end on end, long ways, 3 high, so I would do a big bear hug around the hot water heater, climb a step ladder, a big tall step ladder, set it on top of that one, and then I would go down and grab the third one and then go up even higher and set it up there, try to balance it so it didn't fall down, and do that all day long. I made $3.50 an hour doing that. I found out a couple days into it, I was working through Manpower. If you guys know anything about Manpower, you know what a terrible, terrible idea that is. I took the job through Manpower, and I was much, much younger, and I know it's hard to believe, but even dumber. And I found out a couple days into it, I was about to quit. I was like, this sucks. This sucks. And I found out that they were paying Manpower $10 an hour to have me there, and I was getting $3.50 an hour. And I did that for quite a while. I think I did it for almost a month, thinking I'm going to bust my ass and they're going to hire me and I'm going to make like much better money. And I finally went into the boss and I said, hey, I realize Manpower is paying you $10 an hour to have me here. And he's like, oh, yeah, what are they paying you? And I said, $3.50 an hour. And he's like, that's rough. That's really rough. And I'm like, yeah, that is rough. How's about you pay me $8 an hour and cut Manpower out of it? And he's like, well, we can't do that. We get kind of these kickbacks, I forget whether it was tax breaks or what, to hire through Manpower. And you're welcome to come back as long as you want. You can come back for another 6 months or a year if you want. we love having you around, but we got to do it through manpower. And I said, well, this is my last day. I'll see you later. And it's one of those things I learned the hard way. And I'm sure you guys have lots of experiences like that. I have lots of job experiences. Like I had a job where I stacked concrete blocks onto pallets all day for $3.50 an hour. I only did that for a few days before I quit. But so there's that. And then I've had situations where somebody would pay me what I made in a month stacking concrete blocks to go stand on a stage for an hour and, do whatever the hell song and dance that I do for people. And it's just kind of stupid. How hard you work has nothing to do with how much money you make. And it's one of those things that it's good to learn early in life. And it's not an excuse to be lazy. I don't mean it that way. It's just realize what's happening, and maybe you can try to find a way around it and all that. But what are yours? I think that this is probably a treasure trove in the comments of things you learned the hard way. I'm trying to think of the foods that I've eaten that, like, oh God, you don't want to eat that. There's a thing in Romania. When my buddy Todd Fox and I have been to Romania a couple different times, and we went out in the middle of nowhere. It's a long story that I should tell on its own episode sometime. I think I told it a long time ago on my podcast maybe, but I met a guy on the internet, and years ago in some chat room, who was from Romania, said he would drive us around. On such flimsy information, we flew all the way. Where did we fly to? Prague, took a train to Budapest, went on down into Romania, met this guy in a small town. How stupid is that? We did it, and everything turned out great. Ended up loving the guy, became a dear friend. We went twice, and he took us out in the middle of nowhere. But we want to partake in things indigenous to the area. We want to meet real people. We want to know how people live here, and we want to just experience something. So one of the things is that folks, including Radu, which was our friend, they ate this stuff called shunka. Ate it all day long, and we're like, what is that? And it's shunka. And you cut little cubes off and eat these. And we're like, wasn't really sure what it was. And it was just some kind of, maybe it was pig fat. It was some kind of animal fat, but that's all it was. I believe it was raw. And you learn the hard way. I don't want any shunka, man. I don't want anything to do with shunka. And, man, what else? We ate stuff, ate cheese, some kind of cheese that they peeled bark off of a fir tree, and they sewed the bark together into like what was shaped like a can made out of fir tree bark, and then slammed this goat cheese down into it, just crammed it, and then sewed it all up so it was enclosed somewhat. We're not talking Ziploc bag here. We're just talking about, okay, like this is enclosed, That's not really hermetically sealed or anything. And they buried it in the ground for a year. And they dug it up, and you kind of like cut it open and eat the cheese. And it takes on this really, really strong flavor from the fir, from the bark, and probably from the ground, and probably from whenever the dog comes around and just happens to piss right there or whatever. But we ate that. I'm not saying it was bad, but God, it was so strong. A little bit of it went a really, really long way. And I learned that the hard way, because I took a chunk of cheese and, popped it in my mouth and went, oh, okay. And I'll get off the Romania stuff here in a second, but I'm reminded of some of these things I learned the hard way. My buddy Todd Fox, we were somewhere, and there was an older lady who, we stayed at her house, and she had to go milk the cows the next morning. And we're like, yeah, we want to go watch her milk the cows. So she goes out and milks the cow, and she's got like this kind of somewhere between a bucket and a bowl, and she's milking the cows into it, and she says, would you like to try it, and she kind of like looks at Todd Fox, and he's kind of like, I don't know, and then he feels kind of guilty, like he has to try it. And she took some kind of a cup, dipped it down, we're talking warm, right out of the cow. She reaches in and pulls some big thing out of it that looks like phlegm, or snot or something, and kind of like flings it aside. It's natural stuff, and gives it to Todd. And he kind of like, oh God, and like drank a little bit of it, and he's like, it's really good. And then he, like the asshole that he is, here, Otis, you should have some. And I'm kind of, so I had a little bit of it. Very warm, very right out of the cow, and not for me. I learned that the hard way. But anyhow, that's where my head is today. And I've had a bunch of people that reached out and wished me a happy birthday, and I really appreciate that. That was very nice of you guys. Thank you. I had a really good birthday. Didn't do a damn thing, and it was really good. I fell asleep really early. I slept, I think, 11 hours. Still catching up after being sick, but I've been feeling like way better. And it was a really good birthday, and it was very nice having everybody reach out. And I have a bunch of dates coming up on the road. It's a busy first half of the year. Second half's going to be busy also, but you can see down below where I'll have those pasted in the comments, and maybe it'll be in the top comment. But there's a Lucero tour. I'm doing a tour with Lucero that starts at the beginning of March. I got March 5th. It starts in Fort Worth. They were nice enough to reach out and ask me to, come out and open the tour for them, and it was really cool, and I'm appreciative. But we're playing at Fort Worth and Tannahill, going down to San Antonio at Stable Hall. Someone said March 6th is that Alamo Day? Something to do with the Alamo? I'm going to try really hard to not say anything bad and get myself, to piss off a bunch of Texans. I don't say anything bad about the Alamo. I won't mention Ozzy or Pee Wee's bicycle. Actually, I will, but, that's what I always think of when I think of the Alamo. Isn't that sad? I think of Ozzy Osbourne, and I think of Pee Wee Herman's bicycle. There's no basement in the Alamo. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. But then we're going to Corpus Christi on March 7th. Couple off days. We're going up to Tulsa at the Vanguard. Then Fayetteville, Arkansas, Georgia's Majestic. St. Louis at the Old Rock House. I'm going to see a lot of old friends there. Going to be a lot of my St. Louis buddies out there. It'll be great to see them. Kansas City at Knuckleheads will be the same deal. It'll be wonderful. Omaha at the Waiting Room. Looking forward to that. Minneapolis. Great city of Minneapolis at First Avenue. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm going to meet some of the beautiful people in Minneapolis. And historic venue, man. I played First Avenue once before, years ago, touring with the Bottle Rockets, and it was great to be there. And I remember having a really, really good pad thai just down the street, which was really cool. And let's see, then we're going to Chicago at the Vic. I love Chicago, one of my favorite cities in the world. Ann Arbor, Michigan at the Blind Pig. I get people ask me, somebody once every 2 weeks asks me, when you coming back to Ann Arbor? And well, here it is. It's March 18th at the Blind Pig, and hopefully I'll see you. Covington, Kentucky at the Madison Theater. It's right across the river from Cincinnati. Hopefully I'll see I got a lot of old Cincinnati friends, and Some of the folks I used to go to Reds games and stuff like that with. Be great. Bloomington, Indiana. On my website, it appears it says Bloomington, Illinois, but I think people know it. The Bluebird, the historic Bluebird. The Bluebird is the first place. It's the first gig Sunvolt ever played on the Trace Tour. I believe that's true. And it seemed like it was the first venue that, Dave Kubiak, the guy that runs the Bluebirds, told me a bunch of great stuff over the years about the history there, but I'm trying to remember it on, when I'm on the spot like this. But Uncle Tupelo loved playing the Bluebird, and they used to start tours there. And I guess Sunvolt and then Wilco would start tours there, since they'd start from Chicago or St. Louis. And there's also a historic night that was talked about forever of Lou Reed, John Mellencamp, and John Prine playing one night using Mellencamp's band. And I found out it was not announced. And this happened in the 90s, and there's pictures up there, large, they got photos commemorating it. I found out about it the next day, and I'm like, man. And I knew so many people that could have told me that was happening, and I would have driven down for it. But a historic night there. Bloomington, Indiana at the Bluebird. Then down to Nashville, Tennessee at the Basement East. I get to see Dave and Grimy. That'll be beautiful. The Basement East. Let's see, it's about about 3/4 of a mile that way, something like that. And then the tour ends in Knoxville, Tennessee at Mill and Mine. And I got some friends from Knoxville, maybe some of my friends from WDVX will come out. Maybe Nelson will be there. But there's a lot of other stuff, but that particular tour is the first thing coming up. And maybe I'll see some of you guys. A lot of people have been reaching out and saying they've bought tickets and they're looking forward to it. And a lot of people have been reaching out saying they bought tickets to my Amsterdam show and to all of my UK shows. So I'm looking forward to that. But beyond that, man, I'm just trying to limit the amount of things that I still need to learn the hard way. So why don't you tell me down below the things that you learned the hard way. And I did a video a couple days ago talking about Jerry Garcia and the Dead, and a lot of great photos from an old magazine that I found, and I'll put this up here, and hopefully you guys will see that. Go check it out, and I will see you guys somewhere down the road. Much love to you.